So today I am speaking to Philip Robert, who is an ex-patient of ours and also the founder of the Burning Limb Foundation, which is an incredible organization. And Philip, I'll let you talk about your organization as well, because you do so much for this chronic pain community. But will you tell the audience how we met?
Yeah, so I was lucky enough. I owe it to my wife. My wife actually found you after I struggled with the process that most of us go through. Right, you get diagnosed with CRPS or some sort of an illness, and you research it, and you go down to Dr. Google. And in the middle of the night, my wife saw one of your videos with Carlos, patient zero. And we had been through the process. There was a dead end, and I decided to give you a call. So I gave you a call on a Thursday. It was a Thursday afternoon. We had a short session, and then you said, "Can you be here Monday?" And sure enough, I was there Monday morning.
Yeah, you were.
Almost four and a half years ago.
I can't believe it's been that long. You had CRPS in your lower body.
Yeah, so left leg primarily, and then of course all of the symptoms that that are associated with that, and I go down the laundry list of the allodynia, and I like to describe what was happening in my left foot as having a bag of Africanized bees on my foot, stinging me all the time. But worse was I felt like I was being hit with a electric cattle prod 24 hours a day. I got the clenching, the muscle clenching, the memory loss, the brain fog, the inability to eat. So all of that, kind of spiraled, away from just the traditional where it, maybe in one limb and then it spreads. It was, it's essentially affecting all of my systems.
And 4.5 years later, Philip, how is your CRPS?
What CRPS? I mean, how can I state it, any other way? Now, I still struggle with some vascular issues that I have, but as I mentioned before, that thing that was probably the most paralyzing for me, or probably the most horrific experience for me, was that constantly being bombarded by an electric shock. And I have not felt one of those in probably 4 years. I think by the time I got to about week 8 at the clinic, the severity and duration of those and frequency as well were predominantly gone. So, for me, I have literally zero CRPS symptoms. I used to not be able to remember anything. Like I couldn't look at, and I deal with Social Security numbers and numbers all day long. I couldn't look from one screen to another and remember that number and try and translate that. And not that I have a lot more success now, but at least I don't have that brain fog and just feeling like I just am disconnected.
Philip, you deal with the chronic pain community because of your organization quite a bit. And so I get this question frequently, and I really want to get your input on what is remission really? What does that look like? We're not allowed to use the word cure in this community, and I think that bothers people because remission implies that it could come back at any time.
Yeah, let me give you my input. I certainly have my opinions on that because I use the word cure. Frankly, I don't. I think a couple of things. One is, we're only as well as we think we are at sometimes, and especially, this disease. It's like a lot like alcoholism. It's a disease that you are well aware of all the time. But remission for me allows that little bit of doubt to creep in, and so for me, what remission looks like is, how well are you able to continue on with our life? And for me, getting at least some semblance of a normal life back. In fact, it's been very fruitful. That to me, you could call it whatever you want. I don't care, what alphabet soup name you give it. For me, it just looks like, having at least some semblance of a normal life back. Now, let me give you some idea of what a cure or remission means for me, because I know, in the CRPS community specifically, we're worried about things like needle sticks. We're worried about getting bumped by something, just any of these little things. We live in fear, almost like we have to live in a bubble, right? Well, I have had at least one surgery per year that's required at least a 6 or 7 or 8 day stay in the ICU, multiple hardcore, operations. And here I am 4 years later. I mean, and that's a testament to the process that you have built that, restores neurologic function so that you don't have to worry about those things anymore. So to me, that's what remission is all about, not having to worry about, the boogie monster living in the closet.
I love that explanation. And I think that collectively we've had dozens of surgeries and fractures on patients that have completed our program with no reactivation of symptoms. So I love that. Tell me a little bit about the Burning Limb Foundation.
Yeah. So, when you and I had our exit interview in August of 2016, one of the things that I think we get energized when we get our life back. And one of the things that I wanted to do was I wanted to become a chiropractor. Actually, I was going to quit my job in the finance business, and just physically I couldn't do that. And so I said, well, how can I take my cumulative experience in the business world, and then, after realizing and going through this process, and fortunately I was in a position where I could afford to do something that was outside the box, where insurance was not going to pay for it. And all my life, I've really wanted to give back in some way, shape, or form, and I've been doing that most of my life. And so the seeds of where this came from were really germinated while I was at the clinic. And so it was really born out of the fact, well, a lot of people can't afford this, right? So they're on disability, they can't work, or they haven't worked. How can we get them in a position where they can leverage fundraising capabilities, whether it's to their friends and family, as well as my capacity to generate funds for our patients. So, the way that I describe Burning Limb is we have really two main functions. One is just to give flat grants that are no strings attached. Doesn't matter, who you are, where you live, what you got. You just have a desire to suit up, show up, and we designed it so that we could pay the service providers directly. So there's no there's no middleman. Essentially, I don't make checks out to individual people, and that way that there's no shenanigans going on, and the money goes exactly where it's supposed to be. So that's the first thing. And then secondly, we have a fundraising platform, and the capability there is that it allows people to go outside of the traditional GoFundMe route, where they're doing, a lot of the work, where I've got a very simple donor management system where I can handle all of the thank yous and the notifications and the tax deduction notifications and things like that. So for me, it was, how do we provide one, just let's get them seed money so that they can get their fundraising campaigns rolling, and then two, give them a channel and a methodology for their friends and family to get behind them. So I call them patient partners, because that's ultimately what they are. And just some numbers there, since I had them handy, I was looking at them yesterday. So since August of 2017, we have sent out, we're going to cross the $500,000 mark in terms of funds that we have distributed from Burning Limb. And this year we're a little over $200,000 raised. And that's over 125 individual patients. So to me, that's what success smells like.
Philip, I would like to get your input. So many hundreds of thousands of dollars are being raised worldwide for complex regional pain syndrome with our more traditional organizations, and a lot of that is being applied to studies of spinal cord stimulators and ketamine and all the traditional things. If you had those kind of funds, how would you like to see that applied better for this community?
You guys have all heard Make-A-Wish Foundation, right? That's what I'd love to see happen here, where, and when I wrote this on my website, kind of when I was coming up with the idea, what would this look like if we had a big enough runway and a big enough bank account um, for however many individuals we can do it for, is that, look, you contact us, you qualify for it, you have the desire to do it, you're a good fit. Let's say they're going to go to your clinic, and we just write a check essentially for their entire treatment costs. We pay for their plane reservations, a rental car while they're there, housing, food, all of that, so that they have a hard enough time just getting out of bed. And for me, that's what I'd love it to look like. If I had that kind of capital, the impact that we can make on multiple individuals, and not just individuals, because this is exponential, right? We're affecting families and friends. We're allowing people to get their lives back. And that's what it would look like for me, is just basically to mimic essentially what Make-A-Wish looks like, to be able to give that to somebody and multiple people throughout the year.
Philip, I know I've said this online, but I mean it. You're a walking angel in so many ways, because some people graduate and they never want to talk about being sick again, and that's fine. I respect that. In your case, you took what was a tremendous curse and turned it into a blessing for so many people. And we as a clinic cannot thank you enough for all your work, and I'm so proud to know you.
Thank you. I would just say this, that, when somebody is thinking about going to the clinic, right, or they're thinking about, how can I get out of this morass and this dark hole that is CRPS? All it takes is a little bit of hope, and that's what I really intend to provide. And there's something in the secret sauce about the clinic, and I tell this to everybody that I talk to, is that you might see it in the videos, you might see it among the patients as you watch them progress through that, but there is nothing like walking through those doors and seeing it real time. That is a secret sauce that no other place has on the planet. And I attribute that to you and your staff, and that includes Dr. Lucas, Dr. Hannelly, and everybody else, on the team. And I think that's what makes it special for me, to have another entire career that is really demanding on my time, a chronic illness myself, but then I get to write the check, and that provides a tremendous satisfaction and a payback to me.
Thank you so much for your time, my friend. It was good to see you, and it's
Thanks, you
always
too.
great talking to you.
All right.